which comes from the Irish word Farragh, which means a meeting place. And that's what the map looks like. And that was the western boundary and the eastern boundary. The river runs down there. Farragh Cross. That road going down there now was not there in 1838. And this is the road over to Kilfine. Down here is Farragh Bridge and Farragh House and the site of the ancient castle and the site of the Flax mill, which disappeared in 1922. And then the old road going on towards Ballygone or Kilfine. Here's the site of an ancient fort which has been cleared off the land about 7 or 8 years ago. A river running toward the southern boundary and on towards Maharabrack. Now that road wasn't there either 150 years ago. This one was. This was the way from Kilfine over to the Farragh mine. And we think that fort there marked on the map was an ancient midden. Down here is a river that separates Farragh from Clonawillan. The river moves down here, and from here all the way over is the townland of Farragh and down that direction. Over the other side of the river here is the townland of Clonawillan. Now here we see a big pipe crossing the river. Now that's taking a water scheme from Lough Conn over to Kilfine and the Ballycastle area, crossing the boundary line here between Clonawillan and Farragh.
Townland of Farragh extends from down there all the way up. That's the road there, it's the boundary.
Up as far as the bend of the road.
As far as the bend of the road, yeah.
And moves away down to the right then. Yeah. Now this is the Clonfarragh crossroads, I'm told. And this road down here leads all the way down to Killala. Now it's a relatively new road. It wasn't here 150 years ago, because we don't see it on O'Donnell's maps that was made in 1838, so it must have been a new road. This one down here, leading down to Farragh Bridge and to Killala.
This here is Farragh Bridge. Over there you can see Clonawillan. The boundary line here between Farragh and Clonawillan is the river.
Yeah.
Farragh extends up there to the right. All the way.
Yeah. I'm standing here now on Farragh Bridge. Behind me is the townland of Farragh. O'Donovan says it comes from Farragh, a meeting place where probably tribute or soldiers or some kind of taxes were taken by Orley from his subjects. Maybe where the members of the tribe met, who knows. In 1838 it contained 168.5 acres. It was then the property of Sir William Palmer. It was leased for 21 years at 27.6 an acre by Thomas Waldron. He lived in Farragh House. I think he was the agent for the Palmers too. 24 acres of this townland was uncultivated. Waldron grew crops of barley, oats, flax and potatoes. In 1856, according to the Griffith valuations, the immediate lessor of this townland of Farragh was Sir William Roger Palmer. Sir Roger Palmer, the baronet. It had still the same acreage, 156.5 acres. The townland occupiers was Hector Sutherland, and he paid £147 10 shillings in rent to Roger Palmer, not Roger Palmer, but Sir William Roger Palmer, yes, for the whole townland. That was in 1856 according to the Griffith valuations.
On my left here is Maharabrack.
Yeah.
The river is the boundary line between Maharabrack and Farragh.
Yeah. Behind me in the background now is Farragh House. Now it was lived in up until maybe 20 years ago. Palmer's land agent lived here in 1838. His name was Waldron. Hector Sutherland probably lived here in 1856, and after that I'm not so sure, but maybe some of the people of the area here might know who lived in it. I think it is owned presently by the Lynns of Farragh. Now you're telling me there that behind this house wasn't the first Farragh house at all that was in it?
Well, it looks that way, that it wasn't the first Farragh house. The old house over here, the one-story house,
Yeah.
with the attic in it. It ran from this big house over to the stables.
Yeah. And you
That
think,
appears was the old house.
Yeah.
Yes.
and then this other one was built later on.
It looks that way.
Yeah.
But
So Walden was here, and maybe Hector Sutherland was here.
yes, maybe now.
Yeah.
I'm not so sure.
And then after that, was it Perkins?
It looks that way. Perkins, most of the people around here when I was growing up knew
Yeah.
Perkins.
Yeah.
Yes, and the flax mill was going strong that time
Yeah.
until 29, until the flax.
Was it
business
1929 it was burned down?
Yes, that's when the flax business crashed.
Yeah. So you were also telling me there about what was this Perkins, that he had a lot of family, hadn't he? Had a few sons or daughters? or
He had 3 sons, 3 doctors. That's what an old neighbour told me.
Yeah. And they didn't practice around here, did they?
No, they went to the colonies
Yeah.
after
Britain.
they graduated.
Yeah, yeah. And you were telling me too that they had an ancient water system here. You know, there was an
Yeah.
old bath somewhere.
Well, they had a tank there for the lower house, a tank up on a stand.
Yeah,
So they had it coming in to the old house. I saw the tap there
Yeah.
myself. But according to this neighbour, they had a bathtub. As a matter of fact, I saw the bathtub up here in the big house. But the water had to be drawn up with buckets in it. They had no water pressure to drive it up.
so they had the maids or whatever for doing
They had
the
the
job.
maids had to draw up the water.
Yeah, you were telling me that one of them bathtubs is around today.
Well, it was around some years ago, I believe. It might be over there in George Taylor's yet.
Up in Clonawillan, or over in that,
Clonawillan.
yeah, in that
It
town.
was there anyhow.
So after Perkins then would come Collins, was it?
Yeah, Collins was supposed to come.
What was
after
his
Perkins.
first name? Was it Tom?
Tom Collins,
Yeah.
yes.
He came from Glenadach, wasn't it?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah. Great runner, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was the 5 miler. I found out that the last time I was over the other side. He was a champion.
Yeah. Did you ever talk to him?
Oh, I met him.
You did, yeah.
I did.
Was he a tall man or a small?
No, he was a fair-sized man.
Yeah.
Fair-sized man.
Good runner.
He was supposed to be a champion. I met an old-timer over the other
Yeah,
side when
yeah,
I was
yeah,
the last
yeah.
time he told me he was a champion.
Yeah. So he made some money on the running in America. We won't have
Well,
he made
I
it,
don't
but-
know how he made the money.
Yeah, well, he did
but,
anyhow.
He was rich anyhow when
Yeah.
he came back.
And he bought this
He
whole
bought
townland.
Yes.
He
Yeah.
was worth 17,000 when he came here.
Yeah. So he bought the whole townland, and
Yes.
he lived here for many years. You don't know or have any idea when he came,
He came in about 1925.
did he? Yeah.
And 14 years he was here. 1939, I think he got out of here.
Yeah. So he had
I think, yeah.
horses, and he had a lot of farm equipment here, hadn't he?
Well, yes.
You didn't
yes.
ever hear of it, did you?
Yes, he had everything. He had modern and set up here, but he hit bad times. He hit the big depression, you know, and
Yeah.
the economic war, and
Yeah.
things were bad. that
There
time.
were, I believe. You didn't hear of any men around the place here that were blacksmiths or carpenters or handymen of sorts around working for him? No?
No.
No. I think he had a few of them here around the place working.
No, he might have. No,
Yeah.
I don't-
So he
I
left
don't know.
eventually in 1939, you
Well,
said.
39, yes.
And that's when it was striped, wasn't it? by
Yes,
the-
yes, it was straight in 39, the tenants moved in.
So you lived for a while in that town, in that house at the back there, didn't you?
Which, this house, big house?
Yeah.
Yeah, we did. We lived
Yeah.
in that house for I believe, until what, 1964, is it, or 1962?
Yeah. When did you come into it first? Around 1930?
1939. yes.
Oh, yeah. You got some of the land that was striped here
Yeah.
and whatever. Ah,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah. Other
Yeah.
tenants. You came from Kilbride, didn't you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Ballycastle.
Now, this would be the stable yard here that belonged to Collins, wasn't it?
Yes,
Yeah.
Yes.
Which of these was the horse stables?
that one there was the horse stable.
Oh, yeah, with the
Yes.
doors and the half
Yes.
doors.
Yes,
And where did he keep the motor car?
it was supposed to be there. That was supposed to be the garage there.
Yeah. He was the first man in Farragh to have a car, wasn't he?
Yes.
I think the only man around to have a
That's
car.
the only man around at that time, I believe.
Anything else you remember about these sheds here?
No, that's about all now, I think.
Was there glass in any of them there?
There was glass windows in the horse house. Yes.
Was there then?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a new shed that Jimmy put up there.
Himself, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, John, you were telling me that the old house was someplace here, wasn't it?
Yes, it came to that corner there.
And stretched all the way up as
All
far.
the way as far as the other house.
Yeah.
Yes.
The one house with an attic, one storied with an attic.
There were one story with an attic.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
And down here where you're standing now, there was some kind of a tank with it.
Well, that's the foundation of the stand. There's a stone stand
Yeah.
that the tank was on. It came up to about here.
Yeah.
The tank was left on top of it.
Yeah.
And there was a gutter then coming across from the shed
Yeah.
to the tank. So that supplied them with water.
Yeah.
There was a pipe going into the old house there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, John, there's pillars there down at the road.
Yeah, that was the gate
Yeah.
coming in to the big house.
The avenue.
And this was the avenue. You can see it's a winding avenue, like
Yeah.
all the old avenues, but it's overgrown now.
And all the way up to the hall door.
It ran right into the hall door, yeah.
Ah, yeah.
And in front of there, it used to be all covered with daffodils and flowers, but the cattle had
Oh, indeed.
trampled them today.
Indeed.
Yes, there
Indeed.
was a half a root of daffodils there in front of that
Yeah.
tree there.
Yeah.
But now
That's right. Now, behind me, once again, is Farragh House. Now, the Perkins is of Farragh. Perkins, now this is according to a document which I received from Brendan Barrett. Perkins came to Ireland with the Cromwellian army in the 1640s. He was an officer. They came from Tuthill Street, Westminster. Now, Westminster is in the city of London. There's also the city of Westminster there. It's all called London. They were cotton weavers. After the Cromwellian settlement, Perkins stayed on here in Ireland. They were in Farragh Townland up there long before they came down here to Farragh. In an old manuscript written by James W. Perkins of Tennessee called History of the Perkins Family of County Mayo, Ireland, from the time of Oliver Cromwell until the death in 1919 of James Perkins of Glyn Southwell, Rathfarnham, Dublin County and Farragh House, Ballysakerry Parish. Thomas Perkins had a family of 5, 1 girl and 4 boys. The girl was Lily, the oldest. Bobby, Tommy, Arthur and Herb. James was half-brother of Thomas Perkins. James was a commercial traveller. He used to travel from Killala to Dublin, and mostly at the end of every month he would spend 3 or 4 days at Farragh. They said he had a big salary and that he helped with the education of Tom's family that lived here. He was a grand man to meet. Thomas was a licensed auctioneer and had quite a business, and had a flax mill, and it did a large business up here in the background. All the neighbours that were fairly close used to stock their flax at the mill, and when we brought it in, we would go to the house and get our name put down in the book. Either Lily or her mother would be there to write it down. Everyone that brought flax did the same. That is how we got our turn when it came to scutching it. There were 5 buffers and 5 scutchers. The buffers used to take part of the sheaves out, and then the scutchers would finish it. Now, this is an extract from a letter written by Mr. John Wilson from New Brigden in Alberta, Canada, to Mr. James Perkins, Nashville, Tennessee, the man that wrote this. All Tom's family were educated away from home. They all got the highest education. Bobby, Tommy and Herb were doctors. Lily and Arthur went as high in music and singing as they could get. Yes, they used to sing for concerts for the English church mostly. Now, when Bobby and Tommy used to go home on vacation, they would go to any neighbour that would ask them and never charge the rent. These were singers. Yes. Tommy went to South Africa around the year 1897 or 1898. He came home in a few years after that. The climate did not agree with him. And then Tommy and Herb went to Australia. Herb was the youngest. They were good living people, great churchgoers, every one of them, and they never missed a revival meeting held, he told me. Once he was a Methodist, and if there was a Methodist church there, he would go to it. He was a good living man, never smoked or drank. Bob and Tom smoked a little of the pipe. Now, George Geoghegan that married Lily, he went to Tom Perkins for about 12 years before they got married. The reason for the prolonged wedding was he had to wait till his mother died. She had a legacy, and he could not get it if he got married. He was the only child. He was very dressy always in blue and was red-headed, pretty bald when they got married. This was George Geoghegan. I'm told he lived up here at one time. Lily Perkins was one of the prettiest girls, etc. Now, Tom was a big square-shouldered man. Yes, as so was James. We don't know anything about John Perkins. More information from the same document. Jane Perkins, she would be the wife of Thomas Perkins that owned the mill here. Died, I think, on the 14th of October 1911. And after in her will, she left £724 to James Perkins, a gentleman at Dublin. She was the wife of Thomas Cooper Perkins that lived up here. Now, James Perkins of Farragh House, Killala, County Mayo, died on the 9th of April 1919, aged 61. He was the half-brother of Thomas that was here, and he usually lived at Killala. Now, there's an extract here also from the Ballina Herald concerning this. John F. Quinn, writing in the Ballina Herald of 1951 about the man. This is Thomas Cooper Perkins he's writing about. The last of them, resident at Farragh in the early part of the century, was Thomas, who was an outstanding, well-educated man, always fashionably dressed with a flowing beard and Caroline hat. Now, Quinn knew him, he states, as a public representative, and as far as he could recollect, he had one daughter who also became an agent for the Bank of Ireland. This is the Perkins crest, a pineapple proper, stalked and leaved vertical. No motto, as in the case of all older arms, is recorded. The shield is of gold, the fess and 10 billets are of ermine. Ermine has a field of white charged with ermine spots of black. The crest rests on a reed of alternate twist or black and of gold. The pineapple is of natural colouring. This is the site now of across from James Lynn's house where the flax mill was, right here. Standing here now on the site of the old flax mill that was here established, I think by Thomas Cooper Perkins. And Jimmy Lynn there tells me it was sometime around the year 1860. Now there's not even the ruins of it to be seen today. I suppose they came in that gate, in that roadway there from the Farragh Kilfine Road and onto this site here. Now it is not mentioned in the 1856 valuation. It was established probably later than that. Well, that's what I said, around 1860. Now we have some information here from a letter written by John Wilson to Perkins of Tennessee. He says there were about 10 berths, 5 scutchers and 5 buffers. Each scutcher and each buffer had their own berth. There were 4 scutching handles on each wheel. The scutching handle was about a foot long, 10 inches wide at one end, and 4 or 5 inches at the other. It was tapered on one side to a fine edge. It was about 1.5 inches thick. It was bolted onto a casting attached to the shaft. 4 of them were bolted on at each berth. There was another shed or building at the back, and that is where the tow went. Created quite a breeze. It took that tow about 10 or 12 feet from the handles. It was one man's job taking that away and stacking it. It took the scutchers pretty near all summer to scutch it. The buffers were let go. Now some more information here about the flax in this letter. Now about flax tow. He says it is the refuse or the rubbish that comes from the flax when they scutch it. At the time we grew flax in Ireland, we never saved the flax seed. We pulled it by hand. You would see 50 or 60 men and women, boys and girls, in the one field, pulling it by hand, and then we would dance all night. And they always had a flax dance. Was that what they called it, Jimmy? Yeah, later on. Now, we had flax dams for the purpose. We would put it, the flax, that means, into them that day, or else the next day, and then it would be weighted down by sod to keep it under the water. It would take from 8 to 12 days, according to the water, before it was taken out. We had to spread all that out to dry and put it back into sheaves again. Then we stacked it at the mill again, at Farah. When it was dry, the wood or fibre was stiff but brittle, but the flax was strong. If it was taken out of the water too soon, it would be stuck to the fibre. And if you left it too long, it would be bleached. That means if you left it too long in the water, it would be bleached. You had to watch it close. That's why Ireland had the best linen in the world, or that is what they claim in those days. We could not let that water run away. It would kill the trout in the rivers. It smelled worse than a barnyard.
This is where the chimney stack was, that's where the fire was, that's what got the smoke, and there's a pipe leading out to the drain out there.
Yeah, well that would be from the boiler. Well here, this is where they had the fire, somewhere around here, and the tall tower was the chimney stack in this area here. Wouldn't that be it?
That's
Yeah?
it,
Yeah.
This is where the boiler was here, and from the tower down there, there was also a pipe coming from the water to drive
Well, to fill the boiler, wasn't it?
the boiler, yeah.
And the boiler got the heat from the fire that was down there near the chimney stack. Yeah. So it was a steam mill here, wasn't it?
That's right.
Yeah, operated by steam. And Jimmy Lynn was telling us there that it came to an end around what year, Jimmy? 1920? 1922. Yeah, 1922. Owned by the Perkins. Now this area where I'm standing around here, I think Jimmy told me this is where the sheds were built. And according to the letter that Wilson wrote from Alberta, Canada, here they stacked the tow and some of the flax that they collected from the area. This area and many other townlands too used to grow flax in those days. And these were the sheds here, belonging to the mill that was situated over there. Now Jimmy tells me that there was a tower here, a brick tower. We're always on about the tower. It was about 80 feet tall. It says, and when the Land Commission were doing the demolition work here in about 1938 before they strike this townland, they knocked the tower across this stream that runs down here. And they also demolished the building of the mill and I suppose the shed. And he told me some of the stones from this mill that was here went into the building and repairs of the road and some of the houses back to the village here in about 1938-39 when the land was strike.
This here in the background was where the castle stood.
Farragh Castle,
Farragh Castle.
on this hill here.
This end, in the 17th, 18th century.
Yeah. This here is a shaft that was stuck in a wheel that's out there on the wall. We'll be looking at it later, belonging to the mill. And this here is another part of the mill. Very heavy metal indeed. And this is the yard, or the farmyard of James Lynn. Some pieces and artefacts belonging to the old flax mill are still to be seen. And here is the water pipe, Jimmy tells me, that took the water from the river into the mill. I see a bit of treadmill out here, and it's very heavy iron, not like the plastic or hydrodale or whatever pipes of today. Metal, heavy metal in those days, made to last.
This is a piece of shaft that was cut here to put on the gate, and over here on this side as well, we have another piece of the same shaft that was used for the gate, which was used in the
mill.
mill.
In the mill.
This is the hub here, and the shaft will go into it to drive it, and you can see the key here just on the inner circle of the hub,
Yeah.
and it was used in the
And there were the scutcheon handles there, they're broken off.
scutcheon handles broken off there and right around this side.
Yeah. Now in possession of Jimmy Lynn of Farah. The site of the old Baz Castle, and this green land here is called the Bawn. Across from the flax mill. Farragh Castle. Well, I'm standing here now on a mound or a hill, which probably was the site of the old Farragh Castle. Now, the Ordnance Survey letters state, in this townland of Farragh were the ruins of a castle and barn, and the barn would be this green land around here. This was in 1838. Now, the Stratford Survey names the townland as Farragh, F-A-R-R-O-W. In the Protestant Church of Killala at present is a Palmer memorial on the south wall. Near this place, it states, near this place lieth interred the body of Francis Palmer, late of Farragh, in the county of Mayo, who departed this life the 4th day of June, in the year of our Lord 1721, about the 66th year of his age, or of his life. He was married to Charity Annesley, by whom he had no issue, and left his estate to his brother Roger Palmer, DSQ. Now near this place, also in Killala, lieth also the body of his father, Roger Palmer, late a Farragh, aforesaid of Anne Breezy, his wife, mother to the said Francis. Lieth also the body of the said Roger Palmer, brother of the above named Francis, who departed this life on the 15th of October 1724 in the 60th year of his age. Now, if the Farragh of the Stratford survey is the same Farragh as is mentioned, this memorial may be some of the Palmers that lived here in about the 18th century. Now, there's the question as to, did they live here, or was this castle in it in the 18th century, or did they live over here? Well, it would be in either of the two places. Now, behind me here is the depression. I think probably was the tower of the castle, wherever it was. Now, also here is a photograph of the memorial, which is in the Killala Church, the Protestant Cathedral in Killala. Now, here's the Palmer coat of arms, as exhibited in the Catholic or the Protestant Cathedral of Killala. And here's the information that's on the monument right underneath it. Now, your name is John O'Donnell, and
Yeah.
you were working down there, you were telling me, for years at Tom Collins.
Yeah,
Yeah. Two of you that was working, was it?
tool,
Working on the farm.
working on the farm.
Yeah. He had no exceptional machinery, or no great machinery there, had he?
No, only mowing machine and ploughs and harrows and
Yeah.
all
Co-
this.
and a couple of horses.
Couple of horses.
Did he keep sheep and cattle too?
Oh, he did. He did.
Yeah. Yeah.
He had about 30 sheep and he must have about 20 or 30 cattle between them all.
Yeah. So the house, Farragh House that time, it was bigger than it is now, wasn't it?
Oh, it was, it was. There's
Yeah.
only a machine with a half of it standing there.
Yeah. So there was a lot more of it in those days.
There was.
Yeah. Well, had he servants in the house that time?
Oh, no, no.
Just himself and the wife and the family?
Self and the wife and the family.
5 of them, was it?
5 of them.
5 women, you were telling me.
5 million.
Yeah. And you worked for him for many?
About 8 years.
Yeah, yeah. Found him a good man to work for.
Oh, a good man to work.
Yeah, yeah. And then he sold it, didn't he?
He did. He did. He sold it to the Land Commission.
And he went away to America or somewhere again, didn't he?
They went over to America again.
And he came back and
Came back again.
he
Selling the daughters went over and he came back again.
yeah. And he went down a bit in money and whatever, didn't
Ah, he went down in the money.
Yeah, yeah.
He went down in the money.
So you were telling me that this land was striped about when? 1938, 39?
1930, about 1939,
Yeah,
1938.
And all the different tenants came into it then?
All the different tenants.
Yeah. And it was much the same as it is today, wasn't it? The townland.
Much the same.
Except maybe they improved that
Oh,
road.
it's improved. It's improved a lot. You know.
Yeah. You remember it as a different kind of a road, do you?
I do. I do.
An old cartway, was it?
The old castways.
Yeah. Were there many carts going on in those days?
Only his own cars.
Yeah.
You see.
Yeah.
It wasn't a public road out, you know.
Yeah. Would it be going over as far as Ballygone or over there?
Well, the track out is in it
Yeah, today. Even.
today.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Our times were hard at that time when you were
It
growing
is
up.
harder that
Yeah.
time.
You were telling me there he was paying you fairly well, wasn't he?
Oh, it was that time.
Yeah. 10 bob a day or something.
10 bob a week.
10 bob. Oh, was it? Oh, I see. Ah, yeah. Ah, yeah. Ah, yeah. I thought it was 10 bob a day you were talking. 10 bob a week.
10 bob a week.
Yeah. Well, there wasn't bad wages, were they, in those days?
There wasn't. There
Yeah.
wasn't.
Ah, yeah.
Well, you see, you was kept in and all out of that.
Oh, did you live beyond there?
Oh, yeah.
Who was the other man that worked with you there?
A brother of mine.
Ah, yeah, the two of you. Where did you come from before that? Did you
From Magona.
from Magona? Ah, yeah. Yeah. Well, there was always men looking for work in those days. There
Oh,
wasn't.
there was plenty of them working, looking for work that time.
Now, some further information on Farragh Townland and the Flax Mill and some of the people that were living there during the time of Thomas Perkins. There were 2 families living on the Farragh farm, Loftus and Doherty, and the Flax Mill engineer was Tom Stevenson. He lived here too, in Farragh at the time of the Flax Mill. Now, this is an extract from a letter written by Mrs. Jane E. Burke Patton of Knox Street, Ballina, County Mayo, on the 24th of February 1951. She writes, "In my early teens, there was a Dr. Perkins doing duty for Dr. McNulty, who was ill at the time. This Dr. Perkins made a name for himself during this short period. There was a bad flu going all over, and plenty of young people died of it. I didn't escape it, and it was he who attended me. I made rapid progress under his care. We heard later that he went to South Africa. I remember hearing he had 2 more brothers who were doctors. One bottle of his medicine left me fit as a fiddle." Now here's another paragraph from the same letter. "I am after sending your letter 12th of February in the Ballina Herald, and as I know and heard a little of the Perkins family, I feel obliged to let you know. I am the youngest of my family, and not far from 60 years. My own grandpa, whose name was Patrick Nelson, who was a farmer, he lived at Kirrigary, Lacken. In Black 47 and 48, he was in company with a Mr. Perkins of Farragh Townland as oats merchant. They both farmed extensively and imported and exported oats and oatmeal. There were 2 large stores at Killala Quay, and still there but in ruins. My grandfather Nelson and Mr. Perkins of Farragh used them to capacity. I can't say whether they owned them or not. In those days Killala was a flourishing town. They were in company long before the famine. After that they dissolved partnership. The stores have not been in use since. In the famine years, oatmeal was sold by the quart at my grandpa's home, as the people were very distressed. The oat crop was only their mainstay. The potato crop failed, and numerous deaths took place from hunger." A picture of James Perkins, who lived at Killala, half-brother of Thomas Cooper Perkins. Photograph of Mrs. Loftus, 84 years old, who lived in the home of Thomas Perkins at Farrah for a number of years. Arthur Perkins, Herbert, Dr. Thomas, Robert James Clark Perkins, Jane Lilly, not too clear. Now, concerning the castle at Farrah, the Barretts could have had this castle and born here around the 14th or 15th or maybe 16th century. Maybe the Palmers lived there, and maybe they lived in Farrah House. We don't know for sure. Now, Farrah, according to the Ordnance Survey letters, was Farragh MacAulay, originally gave its name to a large Irish baile Beatoch, and that Mullafarry, Knuckletinole and others of the present townlands are subdivisions of it, and that Mullafarry was the Senate House where the sons of Orley were wont to assemble their subjects, where we had that before. Today, Farrah has almost 175 acres of land. According to Symington's Book of Survey and Distribution, this townland existed in 1641. It was called Farragh. William Barrett, and it was disposed to Sir Arthur Gore. Farragh Bridge. And then here on the left somewhere was Loftus's and Doherty's. They worked in the flax mill. On the right here was Jimmy Lynn's. This is the new Farragh Road made on top of the old Farragh Road. On the right here, O Donnell's that once worked at Collins in Farragh House. The next house was Farrell's, but now it is Doherty's in here to the right. On the left here was Jim Welch's. See part of it there. He was once a Gallagher for County Council. And the next house on the left here is the Hegarty's, and on the right, Holmes's. and the old road goes on for a few hundred yards more. This is the house of Hegarty here in Farragh. Holmes is on the right. The Hegarty house in Farragh.
That's right.
Yeah. You came here, you were telling me now. Did you come in 1939 when it was striped?
No, 1940.
Yeah. You came from Nathan or...
Lig behind Crestmalena.
Oh, you weren't as far out as...
Fishcray.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I
That's
thought
right.
you were far out.
No.
And there came a few professional people from this house, didn't there?
Oh, well, yeah, I suppose so, yeah.
You had 2 excisemen and there was parish priest.
That's right, that's
and
right.
there was 1 or 2 of them in the nuns too, wasn't there?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah. So most of them immigrated and away from here. The exciseman was Josie and
Joe
Martin.
and Martin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where is Joe now?
Joe's in Galway, Martin is in Dundalk.
Yeah. Well, Joe worked somewhere up the north.
He worked in Muff in Donegal,
Yeah.
6 miles from Derry, yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
And Martin is in
Martin is in Dundalk all the time, that's where he's married there.
Yeah.
The house there, yeah.
Yeah. Now this here is a photograph of your brother, Father Paddy,
That's right, yeah.
and sister Martha.
Martha.
Now, he was a cure for a while back in Gallagher somewhere, wasn't he?
Back in, it's in the parish of Athercourt, Glenhest.
Glenhest, that's right.
Yeah,
And then he moved,
moved to Knockmore.
and he's there all the time, isn't he?
And no, he's now parish priest down in Templeboy, from Sligo.
Oh yeah. Well, he was in the college too for a while,
He
wasn't
was
he?
in the college, that's where he started off in the college, and he was ordained in 1962.
And he taught in Cooneil School over there before I came through, didn't he?
Yeah, well, that was only for a short time, yeah.
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 No, she's where is Sister Martha?
She's in the convent of Balmullet.
Oh, Belmont.
Yeah.
She's there all the time.
She's there all the time. She's nursing in the old folks home in Balmullet.
Yeah. What order does she join? The
Mercy Order,
Mercy
Balna.
Order. Oh yeah. Oh, this is Joseph
That's right.
on his
Joe.
wedding day.
That's right, yeah.
He's the first of you to become a customs and excise man, wasn't he?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah. And he's in Galway now, isn't
He's
he?
in Galway. He started off in Muff in Donegal.
Yeah.
So he's in Galway now. He has a house there.
Oh yeah. Oh, is this the youngest of your sisters?
That's right.
Anne.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's teaching up in Donegal in Ballyshannon.
She spent a while in America too, didn't she?
She was 3 years in America, yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
So you had a couple of professional people from this house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Including myself.
That there is Martin, isn't it?
That's right, yeah. That's the youngest cousin.
And he's
Yeah,
also a
today,
customs and excise man.
That's right. That's the fellow now I was saying is in Dundalk.
Dundalk.
Yeah.
Oh, where do you think this road is going to?
No, this is the new road that was built here
Yeah.
by the Land Commission,
1939.
1939, in and around that.
Yeah.
And the old road ran on the right hand side of it. The old road ran on the right hand side of it. down
All the way
around
over.
there. Yeah.
Where was it going? Was it Kilfine?
Oh, it was the road that took you into Ballycastle. You used to come that way to the fairs and mines
Yeah.
years ago.
Yeah. So this is the new one today, the Farragh Road.
That's right, yeah.
Right. And this is Holmes's here,
That's
across
right,
the
yeah.
road. They came up from,
Lacking.
they did, well, kind of Leigh Temple to be exact.
Is that right? I
Yeah,
don't know.
Sunny.
That could be,
Yeah.
yeah. That's the oldest woman in the village in there. She's 98 years.
Mrs. Holmes.
That's right.
Now this is the northern end of the townland, and we see Tony walking around the green patch here, which was an ancient fort and was levelled down about 7 or 8 years ago. A midden, I think they would call it, where an ancient settlement were, and people gathered up cockle shells and seashells from the shore, and they formed a pile under them as they emptied them out and ate them and dropped them right under them. In Holmes's land, near the northern boundary, that hedge is the boundary there running up. And Tony is walking around the outline here of it. The site of an old fort or something here, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Roundabout, yeah, no, that's the site. That's
Yeah.
left out here. About 25 years ago.
And a big high fence around it.
A big high fence, there was, yeah. Big high fence around it.
And a bush in it, you were telling me.
Yeah.
Where was the bush now?
The bush was over on this side here.
Was it? On the mound, was it?
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
And was there any way into it, you know? Was there any part of it lower than the rest
I
of it?
don't know. There
You
could
don't
be
remember?
At one time now.
Yeah, yeah.
See, it was sort of half knocked down.
Yeah. It was
Yeah.
high, was it?
Oh, it was high.
How high was it?
It was 4 or 5 foot.
Yeah,
6 foot maybe.
yeah.
Yeah.
And 3 or 4 feet wide.
Yeah, 3 or 4 feet wide.
Any
5.
stones in the mound?
I
on
don't
the-
think so. No,
Yeah.
no, all clay.
Was there any stones in the centre where the rushes are today?
No, I don't think so. But when it was levelled out, there came a lot of cockles and that sort of thing where they were feeding on, I'd say, some time ago, yeah.
Years and years ago.
Years and years and years ago, yeah.
Probably brought them up from the shore, and as they were getting rid of them, dropping them under their feet and making a pile.
Aye, something like that,
Yeah.
yeah.
Kitchen Midden, I hear, or Midden, one of these ancient. That would be very old, that kind of a site now.
I don't know now.
An ancient settlement, yeah.
Yeah.
Whose land is this in?
This is Paddy Holmes' land now.
Yeah. And that the fence over there, I think, is the boundary ditch, isn't
That's
it?
the boundary fence.
Yeah. Oh, that's the site of it there on the map.
That's right.
It has been removed, and there's the boundary. Outside is Killigundra.
That's right.
Yeah.
300 yards from Killigundra Church, 400 yards.
Right, now this hedge down along here, Tony,
That's the boundary there now.
between
Farah and Killigundra.
Killigundra inside on the left in there.
Killigundra's on the left. Where we're standing here now is Farah.
And it winds all the way over there in
Right
and
to
out.
the right and down onto the river.
Yeah. There's a river way down there,
The river,
a
yeah.
couple of hundred yards away.
That's right.
It also goes away up here, doesn't it?
It goes away up there for about 500 or 600 yards.
And turns to the left.
Yeah,
Townland of Farragh.
that's right. The 3 parishes meet is not the fact there above.
Do they?
Cuneel and Kilfine and Killala.
Do they?
That's right. Just there above. We're standing here now on the old road.
From Farragh over to
From Farah, this is the old road from Farah.
Kilfine.
Down joining the Ballygowan road there in Kilfine. And that's the pumping station over there.
For
That's,
Killala.
Killala's present day supply is coming
Yeah.
from that river there. So this is the track of the old road here.
Right.
And it's,
This is a track now here through the bushes, isn't it?
that's right, yeah. It's going straight out. Up there to the left of that house there you can see.
Yeah. Over for Farragh Bridge
Or onto Farragh Bridge and out over Mullafarry down into Cospatrick and mine.
and mine.
That's it.
Yeah. Well, this here was the fish because they tilled this hill here, didn't they?
Oh, it's gone here now. This was tilled.
Yeah.
It's tilled
Yeah,
at
but
some time.
in the
And
bushes.
ditches were knocked down.
Yeah, but they can find it in the bushes there all the
No,
time.
the old road, the track of the old road, the stone there down in the bushes, yeah.
Yeah.
That's